included in my definition of terms. You already forgot? Ayan. So yung tolerance, ito naman yung parang opposite siya ng sensitivity. This is the state of decreased responsiveness to a toxic effect of a chemical resulting from prior exposure to that chemical or to a structurally related chemical. Meaning, you have undergone what we call desensitization. Ano yun? May mga tao na allergic sa shrimp. Kumain at kumain ng mga isang shrimp, dalawang shrimp, ganyan. Hanggang sa tolerated na nila yun. Or let's say for example, baka makarelate kayo yung sa mga alcohol. 'Di ba? May mga taong mataas ang alcoholic tolerance or tolerance for alcohol. Kasi there's a state of decreased responsiveness to that chemical because of the repeated and repeated exposure. It will, and that's the process of desensitization. Okay, there are two major mechanisms of tolerance. Let's talk about it. Due to a decreased amount of toxicant reaching the site where the toxic effect is produced. And so decreased amount of toxicant, or it's on the part of the individual. Reduced responsiveness na. You can't affect me anymore. Ganun. Tolerated na kita. Yan, no? So, well-tolerated na kita. Ayan. So, tolerance. So, that's the spectrum of undesired effects. No? If you have tolerance, ayan, kung nag-increase ng inyong tolerance, then you don't get the toxic effect as much as those people who have not developed tolerance. Nakuha. So parang spectrum talaga siya. Ano nga yung mga included doon? Yung mga direct toxicity, indirect toxicity, and all. Okay. The next topic I will be tackling would be poisons. But before that, I'll give you a break just to absorb the poison. Ayun. And then, we will continue at 10:15. So I'll end my slide here, and then when I share it at 10:15, we will start and continue with poisons. Okay? So get your break muna. Okay, so let's continue. We can breezily go through this because this is we've discussed a bit about this in earlier, no? Okay, so what makes chemicals poisonous? Now, this one, it all goes back to what Paracelsus said na only the dose makes the poison. So there are several factors which can influence the degree of poisoning caused by chemicals. So these are the following factors that I want you to take note of. No, this can guide you in choosing when you will be posed some questions now for route of entry into the body. Is it intravenous? Is it per orem? Enteral or parenteral? Amount or dose entering the body? Toxicity of the chemical. So the chemical itself, regardless of who the individual will receive that medication or that substance, if the chemical itself, no, just standing there or it contained in the bottle, if it really has high toxicity to cause it to the person, that's a factor that can be taken into account. Removal from the body, so the rate of excretion is important. And biological variation. What is biological variation? Now, this one, several characteristics of the exposed person can influence the degree of poisoning which occurs. Okay, so these characteristics, this includes your age, no, your biological sex, no, and individual susceptibility. So do you have high tolerance, low tolerance? So this is the biological variation. Just means iba-iba for each person. No, meaning it's the individual genetic makeup. Okay, so there are key points of toxicology. Okay, so this means that the dose matters. Firstly, I'll give you 3 key points of toxicology. First is that the dose matters, also the timing. So let's say the substance is more easily absorbed when it's on an empty stomach, but then you took it after a feast, no? So you ate a lot of food. So the timing also matters. And then biological variation, people will differ. And that things change. Dose matters, people differ, and things change. Meaning ng things change, chemical transformation. So yun. So when we explore the concept of dose, there are poisons such as botulinum toxin, Botox, that's actually poisonous. Yet this toxin can also heal, no? So that's why you have a lot of factors to take note. First, you have routes of entry into the body. Inhaling daw contaminated air is the most common way, because question might say what's the most common way, no, for contaminated air to enter the body? Of course, it's inhaling. And then um no chemical, of course, can cause poisonous effects without first coming into contact with the body. That correct? Do you agree with that? No? So some chemicals, when in contact with the skin, it can seep through the skin. And less commonly, no, in workplace chemicals may be swallowed, for example, from contaminated food or even cigarettes. No? The eyes may also be a route of entry. Did you know that? Usually, however, only very small quantities of chemicals in the workplace enter the body through the mouth or the eyes. So, and we have defined toxicity in an earlier slide. But this one, before we go through the specific na mga effects, no, of toxicity, we need to know what's it's a measure of the poisoning strength of a chemical. Okay, so here's a thing, no, that chemicals with low toxicity require large doses or amounts to cause poisoning. So in the same way, chemicals with high toxicity only need small doses to cause poisoning. This is self-explanatory. If it's low toxicity, of course, you need more of it for it to cause poisoning. High toxicity, small doses lang. So that's the measure of toxicity. It's not about the dose na toxicity as a concept is different from dose. So parang hand in hand lang sila. Okay, so toxicologists use animal tests and other methods to determine whether small or large doses of particular chemical cause toxicity. So just remember that, no, the toxicity, it's the measure of poisoning strength of a chemical. So just think of the substance na nasa bottle pa siya. What's its measure of poisoning strength? That's your toxicity. All chemicals have the potential to be poisonous. It's the amount or dose taken into the body that determines whether they will cause poisonous effects. So this is just emphasizing, no, or a repeat lang ng ating mga concepts earlier. Poisoning then is caused by not just the exposure to a particular chemical, but by the exposure to too much of it. Because nga, too much of something is already deleterious. So how are we exposed to amounts of chemicals? These are two concepts that I want you to remember. It could be, no, the two main ways that too much of a chemical can enter the body and cause poisonous effects. It's by sudden or short-term exposures and by repeated exposures over a long period of time. What do we mean by that? That's isa-isahin natin, okay? Sige. So by sudden or short-term exposures, no, a one-time exposure to relatively large amounts of the chemical can overwhelm the body. Yun. In the workplace, no, this exposure may happen through improper handling of the chemical or when there is a spill or leak from a valve or pipe carrying chemicals. It might also happen during maintenance or cleaning of equipment that normally contains chemicals such as a solvent vat, no? Yung malalaking timba talaga ng chemicals, no? Solvent vat. The harmful effects caused by one-time sudden high exposures are often called acute toxicity. Biglaan, one time lang. Short-term exposure, sudden, acute toxicity. So some examples of acute toxicity. So go through natin lang. Inhalation of high concentrations of acid vapors might cause serious burns of the mouth and the airways leading to the lungs. Skin contact with certain organic solvents that are absorbed through the skin may cause dizziness and nausea. Inhalation of dusts can cause irritation in the respiratory tract, dryness in throat, and coughing. So biglaan, acute toxicity, it will now give you your effect. Ano ang partner ng acute toxicity? Chronic toxicity, right? So by repeated exposures over a long period of time, a repeated exposure over a long period of time can also cause too much chemical to enter the body. Kasi minsan, yung mga chronic toxicity, no, kapag hindi siya repeated exposure, walang harm. There's no harm in it. But then, when with a repeated exposure, you call it cumulative na. Nag-accumulate na siya sa body. Too much chemical has entered the body and produced poisoning na. This kind of poisoning even occurs, no, over many years. The exposure levels may be too small to cause acute toxicity. And then the harmful effects caused in repeated exposure, this is called chronic toxicity. Example. Sige, I'll just emphasize on the last bullet. Repeated exposure to dusts containing quartz. No, if you're interested in crystals, yung mga rose quartz, yung mga ano pa yun, mga jade, yun yan. Yung quartz, ano to, spike, ito parang needles, crystals nga, di ba? Crystalline needles. And then you inhale it, you inhale it, you inhale it. It's now accumulated in the lungs. Chronic toxicity. What will happen? No, it will scar the tissue in the lungs. It will pierce the tissue in the lungs and will eventually lead to severe or permanent lung damage. So yun, just imagine you've been inhaling sharp crystals, no? So sa first inhale mo, first day of work, walang problema, konti lang. Hanggang sa nag-accumulate yung quartz, madami na silang magpe-pierce sa lungs ninyo. That's an example of chronic toxicity. What's the difference between toxicity and hazard? Ayan. So toxicity is a measure of the poisoning strength and is unchanging characteristic of a chemical. Again, I said na kung ano yung nasa bottle pa lang, meron siyang tinatanging na characteristic. That is toxicity. It is unchanging. Risk is not the same. It's a variable feature. So it can change. No? What might be risky to one might not be risky to another. Kasi it's combination of the likelihood of the occurrence of a harm and severity of that harm. So hazard or danger also is the likelihood that injury will occur in each situation or setting. So just think na yung risk in my previous slide din, yung kanina, definition. Risk can be quantified. You can identify risk, no? Risk factor tuloy. Risk category 1, no? Ayan. So a high toxicity chemical, let's say, for example, a high toxicity chemical can have a low risk to the health if used with proper precautions. That's the contrast now. High toxicity nga siya, but doesn't mean na high risk din siya. It can be low risk if it's with proper precautions. On the other hand, it is also possible that a chemical of low toxicity may present a high risk if it is used inappropriately or incorrectly. Do you see the contrast now? High toxicity nga siya, pwede siyang low risk, pwede siyang high risk. So, hindi talaga, doesn't mean na pag high toxicity, high risk din. No, it's a variable feature kasi yung risk. Pero si toxicity, mainstay lang siya. Alright, I hope that's clear, no? Because we will now proceed to the classification of poisons. Dito na tayo mag-iisa-isa kung ano yung mga kailangan yung i-memorize, no, ng mga substances. Okay. Agents are generally classified in accordance with the interests and needs of the classifier. So classified in terms of source. So on my next slide, I'll talk about the source. The use, the target organs. Ito nga ulit yun, hepatotoxic, nephrotoxic, pwede ding neurotoxic, cardiotoxic. Ayan. Effects. May also be classified in terms of physical state, no? Is it solid, liquid, no? Ganon. Semi-solid. Chemical stability, general chemical structure, and the poisoning potential. Ano yung poisoning potential? Yung hazard. Kasi nga, di ba, likelihood. Okay? I want us to focus on the sources of poisons. These four, ito talaga ang established na 4 types or 4 sources of poisons. Starting with industrial, tapos sa household, ano ba yung nakikita nyo sa household na poisons? Environmental, no? Yung mga factories ba? I'll give you examples. Pharmacologic or medicinal. So, yan yung tinatakle sa toxicology na subject nyo mostly. Okay. So, for industrial, example dyan, mga pollutants. So, you have hydrocyanic acid, carbon dioxide or carbon monoxide, and chlorofluorocarbons. Sige, I want to emphasize on these lang din, ha? Let's go through carbon monoxide. You've heard about this carbon monoxide. This is something that can be found in car exhaust fumes. Ano ba yon? Car exhaust fumes. Kaya nga, it's not safe daw to stay and for long periods within the car or something no, na parang dapat may carbon monoxide detector kahit sa bahay daw. Kasi nga, the problem is what happens, your carbon monoxide, it will interrupt with the oxygen transport in the cells. Okay? So parang the same din to sa cyanide. Okay? Sige, we will yung cyanide, what happens doon, 'di ba? It will cause cyanosis. You will turn blue. Kasi yung oxygen transport within the cells, no? What bring ano yung nagka-carry ng oxygen nyo, yung red blood cells, 'di ba? It will interrupt that and deprive the body with oxygen. That's also the mechanism of action or mechanism of toxic action rather of carbon monoxide. Okay, nakuha? That's why there will be difficulty in breathing kasi yung oxygen transport na interrupt na, no? You will turn blue because your red blood cells, the hemoglobin, it causes you to look alive, no? It will cause you to look red kasi it's the red coloring nga, hemoglobin that carries your oxygen. Okay, interrupted siya. It will now deprive your organs with oxygen. And what will happen? There will be organ failure. So yun yung dangers ng cyanide and carbon monoxide or any poison that interrupts the oxygen transport within the cells. That's the mechanism of toxic action. Interrupting the oxygen transport within the body through depriving the organs with oxygen. Okay. Chlorofluorocarbons. Ito naman ay gas. Kung makikita nyo sa mga refrigerators ninyo, makikita nyo dyan CFC-free. Yung CFC dyan ay chlorofluorocarbon. Dati may mga movement ng climate change, di ba? Greenhouse gases. Kasama to sila. Si carbon monoxide. Tsaka si chlorofluorocarbon. Kasi nga may ozone layer depletion, ganun. Kung napapansin nyo, wala nang masyadong lectures on climate change and ozone layer depletion. Kasi sabi nila, nag-heal na naman daw yung ozone layer. Yun yung sabi nila. So, yung chlorofluorocarbon, it's emitted by refrigerators. Yung mga freezing packs dyan, may chlorofluorocarbons. And it's harmful. It's a pollutant. It is a source of poison. Industrial poison, to be more specific. Okay. Next, tingin-tingin kayo sa household ninyo. Ano dyan ang poison? Of course, insecticide, pesticides, yung mga Baygon, no? Cleaning agents, Domex, yung mga ganon, Zonrox, hindi nyo naman iniinom yan, mga bleach. Ayan na. So, these are household poisons. So, that's why you need precaution for these. Okay? So, some examples for industrial and household na mga solvents. If we have time, we'll tackle about this more. Aliphatic hydrocarbons such as hexane. These may be straight or branched chain compounds and are often present in mixtures. So yun yung aliphatic carbons. halogenated aliphatic hydrocarbons. So this is the best known examples are methylene dichloride, chloroform. You've heard of chloroform, di ba? And carbon tetrachloride. Ito yung kanina ko pa dinidiscuss. Ano nga yung effect ng carbon tetrachloride? It is a potent hepatotoxicant. Okay. Although chlorinated ethylenes are also widely used. Aliphatic alcohols naman, such as methanol and ethanol. So you know na by now, no? Uy, inom tayo ng aliphatic alcohols. Ayan, so ethanol na nasa mga alcoholic drinks. Ayan. Number 4, glycols and glycol ethers, such as ethylene and propylene glycols, used in antifreeze, gives rise to considerable exposure of the general public. Now, the glycol ethers are also widely used. Kailang, if we have time, we'll isa-isahin natin to. Aromatic hydrocarbons, benzene, no? That's an aromatic hydrocarbon. Benzene is the one of greatest concern, such as toluene also is used, no, in industrial and household solvents. Okay. So these are the common solvents that fall into these following classes. So although kasi yung solvents, they are more of a feature of the workplace, meron din sila sa bahay. Diba? So yun nga, yung mga cleaning agents, mga Baygon, ano pa yan. So in addition to some cutaneous effects sa skin, such as local irritation, meron din kasing systemic toxic effects of these things that I've enumerated dito. Like on the blood forming, including effects on the nervous system, like with benzene, no? On the blood forming elements. So commercial solvents are frequently complex mixtures. It may include nitrogen, sulfur containing organics, like gasoline and other oil-based products are example of these harmful siya na mga medications, substances. So we've covered industrial, household. Now we go to environmental. So whatever occurs in the environment, ito mga heavy metals like lead, no, it occurs in the environment. So sometimes we can't avoid it, no. So mga high in lead na mga substances. Sulfur dioxide, nitrogen oxides, ozone, and carbon monoxide can also be seen by the environment. Yung sa industrial kanina na example for carbon monoxide, it's produced by man. For environmental naman, may mga natural occurring carbon monoxide. Okay? Pharmacologic, last source of poison, clinically used drugs or substances for abuse. Yan yung mga dangerous drugs ninyo. Yan, di ba? Yung mga opioid or yung mga narcotics. Ano ba yung basically meaning ng narcotics? Itong mga narcotics, these are substances that can cause, no? For sure, it can cause talaga. Certainly, can cause addiction. Because it certainly can cross the blood-brain barrier and make your CNS dependent on it. Your brain wants more of it. No? Addictive properties. These are your narcotics. So some examples, therapeutic drugs. No? Essentially, all therapeutic drugs can be toxic, producing deleterious effects at some dose. So here nga, although the study of the therapeutic properties of chemicals falls within the province of pharmacology, we can also talk about it in toxicology. Kasi sabi ko sa inyo, on the first part of this lecture, di ba? Si toxicology ay ang evil twin sister ni pharmacology. Okay? So the danger to the individual depends on several factors, including the nature of the toxic response, the dose necessary to produce a toxic response, and the relationship between the therapeutic dose and the toxic dose. Naalala nyo pa ba ano yung term that we use sa area in between the MEC and the MTC? That's your therapeutic window or therapeutic range. So, yan yung ibig sabihin dito. The relationship between the therapeutic dose or minimum effective dose and your toxic dose, or let's say the minimum toxic concentration. Okay. Ano nga ang importance nitong pharmacology and toxicology na study? Because some medications, like for example, yung example ko sa digoxin, it's a cardiac glycoside, but at the same time, it's cardiotoxic. So imagine the irony. No? Ito pa, isang ironic na class of drugs. Cytotoxic agents. No? Yung mga chemotherapeutic agents niyo na binibigay, we are taught to put more care in compounding them because it can also cause cancer. So ano ba talaga, no? Parang it can cure cancer but it also has carcinogenic effect. So, yun, the irony is there. So that's why it's important to know pharmacology and toxicology and contrast. Two kinds of poisons as to property of corrosive, true, and cumulative poisons. Si corrosive poison, ito yung example ko kanina sa telenovela na pag binuhusan ka ng asido, kasi corrosive yung poison na yon, they cause local destruction of parts, no? But they are not poisonous if they are highly diluted. Nagigets nyo? Yung muriatic acid, no? Pag concentrated hydrochloride, binuhos niya sa mukha ng isang tao, it can really cause corrosive corrosion or destruction of parts. But the problem here, if it's highly diluted naman pala, so walang problema. It cannot cause that much effect, no, sa telenovela na effect na masisira yung mukha. Yan. True poisons. Ito ang scary kasi they are still poisonous no matter how highly diluted they are. Opposite sila ni corrosive. Cumulative poison, example nito ay yung quartz, no? Yung quartz na ni-inhale, remember, di ba? Spiky crystals. You inhale and you inhale it, nag-accumulate sa lungs, it will pierce the lungs and cause permanent lung damage. Cumulative poison kasi they are poisons which increases suddenly in its intensity of action after slow addition to it. So dahan-dahan, nag-i-inhale ng quartz. Tapos, after that, na saturated na yung lungs nyo, suddenly it will increase in intensity of action and give you permanent lung damage. Kinds of poisons as to the mechanism, no? So you have local and systemic. We've talked about this in the spectrum. No? Sige lang, let's go through it again. Ano ba yung local? No? These poisons destroy or cause serious injury to mucous membranes or tissue with which they come into contact or may cause inflammatory reactions. So, usually itong local poison sa skin. Okay, sa skin. Wherever it comes into contact, that will give its serious injury. That's a local poison. Systemic poison naman, ininom mo orally, absorbed in the bloodstream, it will give its toxic effect in another part of the body, in another vital organ of the body. O, yung inyong paracetamol, ano nga ulit yung kind of toxicity niyan? Hepatotoxic cis paracetamol. Pero bakit sabi ni John Lloyd, safe lang ang paracetamol? Kasi the dose makes the poison. And by now, you make part of your knowledge na ano nga yung dose na maximum dose per day ng paracetamol before it will elicit its toxic effect, hepatotoxic, more specifically, 4 grams per 24 hours. So, just count, no, na pag, di ba, per tablet ng Biogesic, 500 milligrams. So, pag 4 grams within 24 hours, tas uminom ka pa, you will now get the hepatotoxic effect, no? Pa-promo. Ayan. So, systemic, absorb into the bloodstream and produce harmful effects on vital organs of the body. Routes of poisons. Ito yun. Ano yung PO, IV, SQ, skin tsaka inhalation. PO, per orem, IV, intravenous, SQ, subcutaneous. Madaming examples ng poisons na PO, per orem, na iinom mo. Ayan. So there's this, alam niyo yung Doctor House na series, no? Yung wife ay pinoison niya yung husband niya paunti-unti. Pinapainom, pinapakain ng merong gold. So meron palang gold toxicity. Pwede namang suotin ang gold. Wala namang local toxicity dyan. Systemic toxicity si gold. Pag ininom nyo yan, chronic toxicity, cumulative poison. Nagigets nyo na tatahi-tahi natin yung concepts na sinasabi ko, nile-lecture ko today. So yun, per orem. That's the most common route of poisoning. And you also include inhalation din dyan, no? Because you can't avoid inhaling something that's existing in the atmosphere. IV, intravenous. Example ko dyan para sa inyo is potassium chloride. Okay? What's the danger of potassium chloride? You remember your piso and miko. Ano yun? Potassium in, sodium out, di ba? Potassium in, sodium out. Yun yung inyong, di ba, naalala niyo yung depolarization, repolarization. Meaning, you need your piso for your heart to contract. Okay? So you follow me ha, I'm getting to the point. Ayan, so contract, piso and miko. You administer a lot of potassium in your bloodstream, especially IV and push, what will happen? The equilibrium of your potassium in, sodium out will be interrupted. So potassium in, potassium in, potassium in. Hindi na nagko-contract yung inyong heart. What will happen? The heart will stop beating. So yun, ang inyong potassium chloride, ang last step sa lethal injection. Did you know that? No? Yung lethal injection sa way of assassinating or executing criminals. Wala na tayo dyan, wala na tayong death penalty sa Philippines. Oh. Life imprisonment na lang. Hanggang sa doon na lang talaga sila, sa imprisoned na lang sila. So, last step of lethal injection. Segue tayo konti because it's a good trivia, no, na baka lang gustong kuhanan ng questions or kung ano. Ano ba yung components ng lethal injection? So, you follow me ha. Merong 3 steps ng lethal injection. Ito, you can also use this in your everyday knowledge lang. No? Add it to your knowledge. 3 steps. Una, pinapatulog ka muna. Yan, tulog ka muna. No? Sedation. So, you administer a sedative. Tapos, pag natulog na si criminal, kasi nga, magli-lethal injection na siya, bibigyan siya ng muscle relaxant. Paano yun? Para wala siyang ma-feel. Tulog na siya, wala pa siyang ma-feel, and the last part again is potassium chloride to make his heart stop beating. Yun yung 3 steps ng lethal injection. So, the main character doon ay si potassium chloride, which is administered IV bolus. Tapos question nyo, ma'am, paano yung mga hypokalemic patients na kailangan ng potassium chloride supplementation? Di na naman sila bibigyan ng IV bolus na potassium chloride. It's either per orem or kung bibigyan man ng intravenous potassium chloride, it should be a slow drip. Para yung potassium in, sodium out, normal pa din yung kanyang rate. Nakuha? Okay. Let's proceed with subcutaneous. Okay, subcutaneous examples ko dyan, contraceptives. Like the brand name Depo-Provera. Usually, pag nakita nyo sa medication na Depo, like Depo-Medrol, ayan, it's administered subcutaneous or intramuscular. Kasi nga may intramuscular depot. So yung Depo-Provera, that's a well-known brand name for medroxyprogesterone acetate. And it's a contraceptive injection that contains the hormone progestin. The problem with it, if it will, di ba, dose will make it a poison. So yung Depo-Provera, yun yung common na example ng toxicity ng ang tawag dito, ng contracept na subcutaneously administered. Ano ba yung other medication that you are familiar with na given subcutaneously? I think you would think of insulin. Oh. So kapag nag-toxic na levels ang insulin, ano yung effect? Hypoglycemia naman. So subcutaneous, and then yun, route of poison. For the skin, no, ito simple lang, no? Topical. Corrosive poisons yung usually nagkukos ng skin poisoning. Inhalation, example dito, asbestos. Sige, I know you've heard of asbestos. Thing about asbestos, let's say it was used to make antifreeze or something na parang para sa aircon. So yung mga factory worker, okay lang, no? Walang mga PPE, personal protective equipment. Yun. So inhale lang sila doon ng asbestos. So okay na, nag-resign na sila. Natapos na, improve na ang industry, hindi na asbestos ang ginagamit. After 20 years, na-discover nila na may toxic effect silang nafe-feel. Tapos yung mga co-workers nila ng 20 years before, ganun din yung nafe-feel. Ito ang example ng delayed na toxicity, asbestos. Inhale sila ng asbestos. No? There is sufficient evidence that your asbestos can cause what you call mesothelioma. Mesothelioma. Ano ba yung mesothelioma? It's a rare cancer, no, of the thin membrane that lines the chest and the abdomen. Doon nga malapit sa inhalation nila. Yan. Chest and the abdomen. Tapos, since inhalation si asbestos, no, through inhalation, it comes with it the cancers of the lung, the larynx kasi, you inhale it. And meron ding studies that asbestos poisoning can cause ovarian cancer. So it's really a systemic poisoning, no? Kasi hindi mo maiisip na you just inhaled asbestos. And why is the effect on the ovaries? Okay? Quantitative toxicity. So ito, na-discuss na natin to. Median lethal dose, LD50. Ano nga ulit yung animal subject na ginagamit sa laboratories to discover the LD50 of a medication or a drug substance that you are trying to study? That's your brine shrimp. Okay? Minsan may mga ganong questions din eh, yung mga animal subjects that is used for your pharmacology or toxicity. Ayan. So, median lethal dose has a dose at which the substance is lethal for 50% of the animals tested. Median lethal concentration, ito naman concentration naman siya, that kills 50% of the animals tested. So, meaning, it's quantified in parts per million or milligram per ml, concentration siya, percentage. Ano naman yung TLV, threshold limit value. Oh, another tip I have to give you pala, no? So first tip I gave you this morning, sabi ko, you also have to know the also known as, ano yung mga other names. Next tip I gave you, you also have to know ano yung mga trivia, yung mga pangalan ng tao na na pinagtakol-takol natin kanina, 'di ba? So, 'yun. Mga trivia. Yung sa akin nga, yung board exam ko nga, 'di ba? How many MB are there in 1 gigabyte? Yun. So, go back to the basics. And the third, another one I'll give you na tip is to also take note of the acronyms and abbreviations. Most especially acronyms. Yung abbreviations nyo, magagamit nyo yan sa other modules. So, yung acronyms like TLV, LD50, LC50, MEC, MTC, yan. Alam nyo na ba? Pag sinabi ko lang one time, you will register na kung ano yung meaning nun. May mga AUC, and area under curve. And yung TLV, threshold limit value. So, TLVs are the maximum average, no, airborne concentration of a hazardous material to which healthy adult workers can be exposed during an 8-hour workday and 40-hour work week over a working lifetime. So in other words, in simpler words, ito yung allowable limit, threshold limit value For example, may isang substance in the industry. Kailangan, exposed lang ang isang tao per 24 hours. 4 hours lang dapat. Kasi pag naging 5 hours, 6 hours, exposed ka dun while you're dealing with that substance, it will now give you the toxicity. So yun, threshold limit value ang tawag dun, TLV. Okay. Mechanism of toxic action. Ito mga individual mechanisms of toxic action that I want to talk about. No? So, it may interfere with the transport tissue utilization of oxygen, resulting in hypoxia. Ayan. So, if you listened to me earlier, no, carbon monoxide and cyanide, I told you na it interrupts the oxygen, no, transport in the body. So, it interferes with the transport tissue utilization of oxygen, resulting in hypoxia. Ano yung clinical manifestation ng hypoxia? You will have bluish skin, no? And the fingernails will show as blue or purple kasi deprived ng hemoglobin. And your hemoglobin is the red coloring on your red blood cells. And you no longer look alive. You're now color blue. Pag sinabing dugong bughaw or blue blood, that's not actually clinically, actually clinically healthy. Ayan. May depress or stimulate the CNS, ayan, producing coma or convulsions. So, yung CNS depressant, it can cause coma. The most severe, of course, death, no? Yung most severe CNS depression. Next to that would be coma. For sympathomimetic agents, it can stimulate the CNS. Okay? CNS stimulant yan. And it can cause convulsions. Yan. So, stimulated masyado yung inyong nervous system. So, opposite to ha, coma, tsaka convulsions. Opposite silang dalawa. Depression and stimulation. Okay, may affect the ANS, autonomic nervous system, producing cholinergic and anticholinergic effects. So, anticholinergic effect, yung belladonna alkaloid. Ano yung common dyan na ma-associate natin sa belladonna? Ang inyong atropine. So, yung atropine, it has an anticholinergic effect. Cholinergic naman, organophosphates ang example dyan. So, ito, you need to brush up, ha? You need to remember ano yung mga fight or flight, no? Rest and digest. Ito yung inyong sympathomimetic, sympathetic and parasympathetic, di ba? Yung mga cholinergic and anticholinergic. Yan yung inyong autonomic nervous system. So, I want you to take your time also, no, to understand those because it can be useful in your module 4. Ito, toxicology, tsaka sa pharmacology. Most especially sa pharmacology. Ayan. May affect the lungs by aspiration. Pag sinabing aspiration, liquid has entered into the lungs, no? So, na-aspirate ka. Okay, or systemically. So paraquat is an example, and hydrocarbons. Next, may affect the heart and vasculature. So say for example, it will cause myocardial dysfunction, myo muscles, cardial sa heart. So cardiac muscles na dysfunction. Okay, may affect the heart and vasculature. Dysrhythmias. Yung mga prefix na DYS, no, dys, meaning there's an anomaly there, no, or disorder. Pag yung prefix na no, asymptomatic, so wala, no, anaerobic, so walang air, walang ganon, no, so asymptomatic, or let's say apnea, no, you cannot breathe. Pag dyspnea, there's difficulty in breathing lang. So meaning, yan, yung dysrhythmias may difficulty. Okay? Yung arrhythmia, meaning nagsiskip minsan yung inyong heartbeat. So that's a mechanism of toxic action. Next, may produce local damage, caustics and corrosives. These are examples there. may have delayed effects on the liver. Oh, sabi ko sa inyo, acetaminophen, no? And paracetamol is how we call it here. Delayed effects lang sa liver. Ano nga yung maximum dose per 24 hours? 4 grams before it will elicit its toxic endpoint. May have delayed effects on the kidneys, heavy metals. Ang thing about this kasi sa heavy metals, it needs time to accumulate first. Hindi, it's not on the first exposure of lead that you will experience lead poisoning, especially if it's at tolerable doses. There will be delayed effects, let's say, on the kidneys. Common toxic mechanisms and sites of action. So ito nasa enzyme inhibition and activation tayo. A major site of toxic action for metals is interaction with enzymes, resulting in either enzyme inhibition or activation. So there are two mechanisms that are of particular importance. Ano to? Yun yung inhibition. Okay, inhibition may occur as a result of interaction between the metal and, let's say, sulfhydryl groups on the enzyme, or the metal may displace or essential metal cofactor of the enzyme, either by displacement or inhibition talaga. Yan. So, two particular points there. Ito, sige lang. You don't need to, tawag dito, to heavily memorize all of these, no? Just understand that we have this isozymes or enzymes in the body that will aid in our metabolism. The most common group of enzymes, the family of enzymes, is again your human cytochrome P450 isoenzymes. So kung sino man ang nag-assign ng mga numbers na yan, mga scientists that came before us na. So we just follow cytochrome P450. I emphasized with an arrow kung alin dyan ang pinaka-common na isoenzyme of your human cytochrome P450. Ang lagi kong naririnig ay CYP3A4. Are you also familiar with that? So, CYP3A4, that's the bottom part na arrow dyan. You can see that these drugs are use these substrate, no? Use this isoenzyme for it to be metabolized. Before that, I want to review you on substrate. Nasa biofarm nyo ito, ha? A substrate is a molecule that an enzyme interacts with. So yung enzyme dito, cytochrome P450. Yung substrate, that's the molecule. The substrate could be the medication. The substrate could be the toxic molecule. So anything that is a molecule that the enzyme reacts with, that's the term substrate. Okay? So any substance that reacts to the active site of an enzyme, a chemical bond is formed between the active site and the substrate, no, yung molecule, poisonous molecule. And such reactions now are named enzyme catalyzed reactions nang dahil sa enzyme. So, si enzyme na una nating we'll talk about is 3A4. Si 3A4, it will create enzyme catalyzed reactions when the substrate is nifedipine, warfarin. And you can see there on the slide, the fourth arrow on the bottom, ayan. Diazepam, erythromycin. Ito yung mga substrate na your CYP3A4 will react with. 1A2, no? Balik tayo sa first arrow. CYP1A2. Ano yung CYP? Cytochrome P. So, ayan, yung warfarin ulit, caffeine ninyo, cimetidine. For CYP2C9 is also common. Ayan, ang inyong tetrahydrocannabinol or THC. That's the addictive property in cannabis, di ba? Phenytoin. Ayan. You have their CYP2C19, the third arrow. So your omeprazole, diazepam, phenytoin also, indomethacin, and propranolol. These are the common ones as substrates, no? That drugs will react with the isoenzymes. Ayan. So, yun yung mga common lang. Yung iba, mga backup dancer lang yan. No? So, hindi masyadong commonly na nagagamit ng mga CYP 450 isoenzymes. Another toxic mechanism and site of action is carcinogenicity. We've talked about the definition kanina ng carcinogenicity. Pero ano bang nangyayari dito? No? A number of metals have been shown to be carcinogenic in humans or animals. Do you remember the thing I mentioned kanina na rhyme? Arsenic is carcinogenic. No? So it's an example here, no? Na arsenic, certain chromium compounds, and nickel are known human carcinogens. Beryllium, cadmium, and cisplatin are probable human carcinogens. But cisplatin now is used as a chemotherapeutic drug. But at the same time, it's also cytotoxic and carcinogenic. So that's the irony there. Kaya kailangan ng proper dosing talaga. Huh? Kidney and the nervous system. So, because the kidney is the main excretory organ, di ba? So, your yun nga, excretion nyo, dun dumadaan. So, it will filter. It is a common target organ for metal toxicity. Kasi, it will be filtered by your kidneys and then your metals will not pass through the kidneys, no, the filter. They will just stay there. Nephrotoxic tuloy. So, the treatment of metal exposure to prevent or reverse the toxicity is done with, ano kaya? Chelation. Chelating agents or antagonists. No, because yung chelation is the formation of a metal ion complex in which the metal ion is associated now with an electron donor ligand. Meaning, it cannot be, there will be an alteration, no, of its absorption in the kidneys. So, kasi chelation na siya, the body has no other choice but to eliminate it. Kasi malaking metal ion complex na siya. And not absorb it in the body. Yun lang, in simpler terms for you to understand. Nervous system. The nervous system is also a common target of toxic metals, particularly organic metal compounds. Anything that passes through the blood-brain barrier, that could be a harmful, no, effect, no? It could give you a harmful effect. Toxic mechanisms, and it's one of the common toxic mechanisms. Another part there, endocrine and reproductive effects. Ito, because the male and female organs are under complex neuroendocrine and hormonal control, any toxicant that alters any of these processes can affect the reproductive system. So, for example, metals, it can act directly on the sex organs. So, for example, you have cadmium. Oh, take note of this, ha? You might be asked, no? Mga testicular injury after exposure, answer there is cadmium. How about lead? No, it can actually cause testicular degeneration pala, no? And inhibition of spermatogenesis. So that's the diba pag genesis, that's the creation, no? In beginning. So, spermatogenesis, it will be inhibited by lead. So metals. Respiratory system occupation exposure to metals in the form of metal dust makes the respiratory system a likely target kasi nga nai-inhale mo lang, no, you can't avoid it, no? You're exposed to it, and then once you inhale it, no, it can now cause toxic effect in the respiratory system. Acute exposure may cause irritations and inflammation of the respiratory tract, whereas chronic exposure may result in fibrosis, like aluminum, and carcinogenesis. Arsenic is carcinogenic, and chromium and nickel can also cause this. So, according to a medical viewpoint, kasi later on, we'll talk about according to legal viewpoint. Kasi 'di ba, earlier we talked about forensic toxicology and how it is used in trials. Hindi yung clinical trials. Yung mga murder trials, ganun. No? So, that's hand in hand, no, for toxicology. And also, you learned in your legal pharmacy din, no, na may mga regulations tayo. Starting with the medical viewpoint, ano yung mga types of poisoning? So, acute poisoning, chronic poisoning, and cumulative poisoning. Ito hindi ko na masyadong i-explain kasi kanina pa tayo lecture about some acute, chronic, and cumulative. So, you can apply those na I've talked about earlier na din. Acute, so sudden, di ba? Sudden exposure. Prompt, and there is marked disturbance of function or death within a short period of time. Yung chronic naman, gradual, repeated doses, repeated exposure. Now, there is progressive deterioration of the functioning of the tissue. So, matagal pa. Example dyan is asbestos. Chronic, no? At the first part, no, na parang na-expose ka sa asbestos, wala pang degeneration, walang deterioration of your tissue. 20 years after, tsaka pa lang lumabas yung mga signs of, ano ngayon sabi ko? Mesothelioma. Google niya yan, mesothelioma. Yun yung rare cancer sa membrane, no? Between the abdomen and the chest na cavity. Mesothelioma. Yan yung sa asbestos. Cumulative, yung inyong quartz, no? Suddenly increases in its intensity of action when a certain limit is reached. According to legal viewpoint, pwede siyang accidental. No? Poison was taken without intention to cause death. Pwede siyang suicidal, no? Trigger warning. Poison was taken by victim voluntarily for the purpose of taking his own life. Ito yung mga findings ng mga forensic toxicologists. Pwede siyang homicidal. Di ba? Pag homicide, pinatay mo ang ibang tao. Poison was given willfully and with intent to cause death to the victim. And meron ding undetermined. No, the history is hazy as to how the poison was obtained and why it was administered. You cannot determine if it was really the decision of the person, no, parang suicidal na viewpoint, or is it accidental lang ba? Hindi, it wasn't meant to be taken or administered, or is it intended like in homicidal? No? So, pag homicidal, meron kang suspect dyan. Okay. Yun yung types of poisoning. Types of poisoning effects, local tsaka remote. Ito naman, parang emphasis na lang din to sa kanina, no? Local effects, corrosives, no? So corrosion or chemical destruction illustrated by the effect of strong mineral acids or bases, irritation or inflammation, which ranges from simple redness in simple form to ulceration or gangrene in its more severe form. So local effect pa din, kung saan yung contact, doon din yung site of toxicity. Yun lang. Yung remote effects, eto, pag ininom mo, stomach, yung effect nasa brain pa, yung effect sa heart pa, sa spinal cord. Ito. So, si brain, remote effect yan ng mga opioids. Si opioid, di mo naman ini-inject sa brain, iniinom mo siya. Tapos, sa brain yung effect, remote effect. Opium, morphine, no? That's part of your dangerous drugs. Barbiturates and also alcohol. For heart, yung digoxin digitalis, no? It's heart toxicity. Spinal cord, strychnine, no? Medyo family ito ng curare. Ay, naalala niyo pa ba yung curare? Yan yung arrow poisons, di ba? Ano yung intocostrine, yung kanyang purified version ng curare. Ano yung scientific name? Di ba? It starts with strychnos. So, yung strychnine, yun. Spinal cord naman yung kanyang toxicity dyan. Lungs and chlorine. Alam niyo yung strychnine, di ba? Sa toxicology nyo na undergrad, sana napag-usapan. very characteristic, no? Distinct characteristic. Pag nakakita ka, for example, sa crime scene, nakita mo, si victim ay naka-arch ang spinal cord, no? Nakaliyad ng ganyan. Kasi, yung strychnine, very characteristic ang pagkamatay. Minsan nga, lockjaw. Kasi nag-open. Bakit ba? Because your strychnine causes painful, involuntary skeletal muscle spasms. So, parang nag-exorcism dyan, no? Na, yan, painful and involuntary pa. So, hindi mo makontrol until such the time that, yun nga, cessation of breathing na. No? So, death na siya. And the characteristic there is arched spine. So you associate it with strychnine. Minsan lockjaw kasi nag-involuntary skeletal muscle spasm ka dyan. Hanggang sa namatay ka, nakanganga ka. Ganon. Okay? Lungs naman, chlorine and gaseous form. Alam niyo yung pag naglilinis kayo, no, ng gamit muriatic acid, parang kung nahihilo. Yun, kasi nai-inhale niyo yung chlorine from hydrochloric acid. Yan, remote effect yan. And combined effect, local and remote effects yan. Arsenic, local effects upon the stomach, kasi arsenic is carcinogenic. Tapos, pwede din siyang, yun nga, sabi ko sa inyo yung ovarian cancer caused by asbestos din yun, no? So, yun para siyang combined effect. Yun. Alright. So, ito yung topic na this will cover biological variation affecting poisoning effects. Tapos niyan, we'll go to the toxins na and evidence of poisoning. So dito ko na kayo tuturuan ng mga specific na kailangan nyong i-memorize. Mga color, mga kung ano-ano pang mga characteristics caused by substance. So, hold on to that. Kasi dito muna tayo sa factors affecting poisoning effects. 'Di ba? Kanina I told you na madaming factors ang kailangang unawain for you to determine na, uy, there's really toxicity. In this slide, you can see there's patient-related factors and poison-related factors. Let's start with the patient-related factors as to size, age, species, and strain. Tayo mga Homo sapiens tayo, species. Strain, no? Iba-iba. Like, kanina I talked about the strain of rabbit that when they eat belladonna, they will die. But there's also another strain of rabbit that when they eat belladonna, which is nightshade, diba? They will be immune to it. So it depends on the strain, patient-related factors. Number 4, feed and feeding. Number 5, changes in the internal environment. And number 6, habitually used drugs. Kasi nagfo-form ka ng tolerance. Ako, sana naalala niyo yung slide natin sa tolerance. You have your notes. So you check that again. Another category of your factors, you have poison-related factors. So number 1 there, physical state and chemical properties. Number 2, routes and rate of administration. And third, previous or coincident exposure to other chemicals. Kasi baka yun yung nakapag-cause ng poisoning because of your previous exposure to another chemical. So sila nag-synergism sila. Let's say, for example, you were drinking ethanol. Yan. And then later on, you were exposed to carbon tetrachloride. Ano nga yung effect nilang dalawa when taken together? They will have synergistic hepatotoxicant effect. So yun, poison-related factors siya. It does not depend on the size, the age, the species of the patient. No? Kasi lang na-expose ka sa ethanol, na-expose ka sa carbon tetrachloride, that's poison-related factors. Okay, starting with size. Kasi dito nyo na-apply yung concept ng surface area, body surface area. So if the same amount of a chemical is given to individuals of different sizes, then the concentration of the chemical attained in the tissues will be different, and hence the effect induced will vary. Okay, so as to the size, the metabolism and activity are proportional. Okay, so the metabolism and activity are proportional to the surface area of the body. So as to the age naman, no, the difference in response during early life is a consequence of the relative inefficiency of various metabolic and excretory pathways. Now, the greater susceptibility of certain tissues, immaturity of the blood-brain barrier, and other factors. All right, I'll give you a 2-minute break lang, no? There's a bit of an interruption lang, no? So, I'll give you a 2-minute break and then I'll continue with my lecture, no? So, eto patient-related factors lang din siya. Just really quick lang. Okay, sige, let's continue. Sorry for the interruption. Ayan, so, yeah, we ended with size and age, no? Let's continue with the species and the strain. So, no, itong differences in toxicity are due to the different types of biotransformation within the body. Yan nga, which can take place in the various tissues. Yan. So for the sex naman, ito, the sex of an animal has an influence on the toxicity of a chemical. So major differences are shown to be under direct endocrine influence. Ano ba yung meron sa endocrine? 'Di ba? Ito yung mga adrenal glands. This will produce your testosterone, yung mga estrogen, and then your pregnancy and lactation. It's also something na a factor, no, that will see if you will really elicit toxicity or not. Okay. So feed and feeding. Yung type of diet ng tao. Yun. Sympathomimetic interaction of MAO-I, no? And high tyramine food like cheese. Yun talaga yung ina-avoid because there will be a sympathomimetic interaction. So feed and feeding. Now, the composition of the feed or food can affect, no, toxicity tests. Evidence of reduced hepatic enzyme systems in low-protein diet. Kasi nga, kailangan natin ng proteins, kailangan natin ng nutrients to maintain the level of enzymes or the functions of the body. When you have a low-protein diet pala, your enzymes, hepatic enzymes will be reduced. So it's one of the factors then na we take into account. Okay, so some food ingredients might induce a toxic reaction during a drug treatment. So yun yung MAO-Is, monoamine oxidase inhibitors. When you take tyramine-rich food, you've learned about this in your undergrad, I hope, no, like cheese, yung mga aged milk, di ba? Aged dairy, it can cause a toxic reaction, sympathomimetic interaction. So changes in the internal environment, no, physical activity, stress conditions, hormonal state of animals, and degenerative changes in internal organs. So induction or inhibition of liver microsomal enzymes then, or like displacement of protein binding of a chemical, or inhibition of its renal clearance. So there's internal na environment din, no, na changes, na pathological conditions. Say for example, yun nga, yung lactose intolerant ka, you really don't have lactase in your body, no? You have a pathological condition na wala ka talagang lactase. So you will have lactose intolerance. And lastly, for patient-related factors, we have habitually used drugs, no? So these can affect the sensitivity of an individual. Now, for someone who has been drug dependent, no, you will get to be immune or desensitized. So there was this one movie, no, The Stand-In. Si Drew Barrymore ang bida. Tapos yung stand-in niya, ka-look-alike niya. Tapos yung stand-in, gustong patayin si Drew Barrymore, ipo-poison niya. Binigyan niya ng parang opioid. Tapos, yun na nakatulog na yung victim. Akala na namatay na. But then, opioid addict pala and opioid dependent yung victim. So dahil sa habitually using of those drugs, naging desensitized na siya, may tolerance na siya. So fail yung plan ng taong yun. Ayun. So that's the illustration here ng habitually used drugs, patient-related factors. So poison-related factors naman, on the other hand, ito, physical state and chemical properties of the toxicant. No? So solubility, suspending medium, stability of the agent, rate of disintegration of formulation. Tapos, yung particle size, crystal form, grittiness of inert substances given in bulk amounts. Ano ibig sabihin nito? Yung characteristics lang nung toxicant. No? Pag sinabi natin, pag solid siya, slower yung kanyang effect rather than pag liquid form siya. Bakit? Kasi dadaan pa sa solubility, dadaan pa sa dissolution and disintegration. Ganon. Routes and rate of administration, generally, toxicity is the highest by the route that carries the compound to the bloodstream most rapidly. And then, previous or coincident exposure to other chemicals and drug-drug interactions. So next, toxins, no? A toxicant and toxin. Ito na-tackle ko na to kanina. Ano yung difference? Pag toxicant, living organism, yun nga, yung pag humans, no? So toxins, whether produced by animals, plants, insects, or microbes, are generally metabolic products, no? That have evolved as defense mechanisms for the purpose of repelling or killing predators. Yun yung mga sa scorpion na toxin, yung mga ganon, or pathogens. So, all toxins are toxicants, ibig sabihin nun, but not all toxicants are toxins. Okay. So, yun, a toxin kasi is a toxicant that is produced by a living organism. It is not used as a synonym for toxicant. Again, yung toxicant naman, chemical or natural or synthetic origin capable of causing a deleterious effect on a living organism. So all toxins are toxicants, but not all toxicants are toxins. Last topic for the morning session. Evidence of poisoning. So merong 6 evidence of poisoning. Wala daw word na evidences. Wala daw plural yan. Ang tawag daw dyan ay pieces of evidence. So ito yon. Number 1, circumstantial or moral evidence. No, that which are contributed by the circumstances or deduced from various occurrences and facts. Example, statements from witnesses. Yan. So, symptomatic evidence, ito yung medyo itatackle natin ngayon, those that are contributed by symptoms. So, ano ba yung mga symptoms? And then when you see it, you can say, oh, it's poisoning. Third, chemical evidence, okay? Obtained by means of chemical analysis of the suspected substance and excrements. So, masasabi natin na yung chemical evidence, yung pinaka-solid na tawag dito, detection of the poison. Kasi you can really use a chemical analysis and see that, the poison is really present. Kasi yung symptoms, ano yung problem dito? Pwede naman kasing baka may sakit talaga si patient. It could be caused by a pathological event and not the medication itself or the substance. Ito, antemortem, postmortem, and experimental evidence. Pag antemortem, before. No? The evidence obtained before death. Diba? Mortem, mortality, so death. Postmortem, post, after. So, obtained by an examination of the organs and tissues of the body after death. Ito yung autopsy. Yan. Postmortem evidence of poisoning. Experimental evidence naman, evidence obtained by administering suspected substances to some living organisms and in observing the effect. So ito ay parang laboratory to trial, no? Experimental evidence. Examples of chemical evidence. For this part of my lecture, medyo focus tayo sa dalawang pinaka-important. Chemical evidence tsaka symptomatic evidence. Chemical evidence, examples nito, we have protamines, thyrotoxin, and thyrotoxicon. Yung protamines, you can detect it, di ba? Animal alkaloids, it comes from animal alkaloids, cadaveric alkaloids, or putrefactive alkaloids. They are alkaloidal substances resulting from the decomposition or of albuminous materials under the influence of bacteria. Tapos, thyrotoxin, it is any toxin developed in cheese or milk by bacillus. Thyrotoxicon, a poisonous crystalline thomine or diazobenzene hydroxide. Sige lang, you please revisit this on your slides, ha? Sometimes thyrotoxicon occurs in stale milk, that's rather stale milk, no? Cheese or ice cream. Okay. So, dito tayo sa symptomatic evidence. Oh, you bear with me on this one kasi mga tables ito later on, no, on the next slide. Yung symptomatic evidence, you can find it. Where can we find it? Ito, sa blood changes, breath odor, skin discoloration, pati yung vomitus pala, you can detect, no, if there's poisoning because of the symptoms. Stool color, urinary changes, kung naiba ang color ng urine, gum discoloration, visual disturbances, tsaka may others din akong ipepresent. Blood changes tayo. Meron kang blood change. Yung blood mo nag-decrease ng blood coagulation. So, may isip mo, baka may nainom tong anticoagulant or like heparin, no? Or there's really thin na yung consistency ng inyong blood because there's decreased blood coagulation. It could be because of heparin, benzene, fluorine, and phosphorus. Cherry red blood, napaka-colorful, cherry red blood. Carbon monoxide and cyanide can actually cause cherry red blood. Pag cherry red, it's a bright red, no? Parang hindi talaga siya dark na yung normal blood that you see, no, the color of blood that you see. It's actually pale, no, cherry red. Parang pale na siya. Kasi yung carbon monoxide tsaka cyanide, again, it will interfere with the oxygen transport and your hemoglobin now, which gives you the red coloring in your RBCs. It will be altered. So parang pale yung inyong blood. And the books describe it as cherry red. I don't know why. Dark red blood. So dark red, it's caused by nicotine toxicity. We're talking about poisoning. Nicotine toxicity causes dark red blood. Eto, ewan ko lang, chocolate blood. Yung color, medyo brownish siguro, no? So it's caused by your aniline, nitrites, and nitro derivatives. Next, odor of breath. Sige nga. Shoe polish. Oh, alam niyo yung kiwi? Okay naman yung amoy nun, di ba? Yung kiwi, shoe polish. Nitrobenzene toxicity. No? Pwede nyo, pag inaamoy nyo yung victim, parang shoe polish yung odor. Nitrobenzene. Di ko lang din na-check, baka kasi may nitrobenzene content ang kiwi. Baka siguro ganun, no? Pero yun yung odor of breath. Symptomatic evidence in nitrobenzene poisoning. Take note of that. Eto, naka-bold kasi common ito. Fruity odor, ethanol. Alam niyo yung ethanol, di ba? Yun yung sa alcoholic drinks ninyo. So, pwedeng fruity odor siya. Garlic odor. Si arsenic, phosphorus, malasayon, thallium, it will elicit a garlic odor of breath. Ito naman, ayaw natin to, no? Koniin. It will cause mouse urine odor of breath. Isipin nyo lang, koniin, mouse urine. Paano yung nicotine? Stale tobacco. Alam nyo naman na 'di ba ang active diyan na addictive property ng cigarettes ay nicotine. So that's stale tobacco or stale tobacco ang kanyang smell. Cyanide is bitter almonds. acetone is actually a sweet penetrating odor. If you notice, maganda naman yung amoy ng acetone, nail polish remover. But when you ingest like chloroform and acetone, it will now give you an odor of breath that is sweet and penetrating. Eto, I don't know how to lecture about pearl-like odor. No, how does a pearl smell like? No, but you have to know that it's chloral hydrate that causes it. Okay? So, ewan ko ba, paano yung pearl-like? That's how the authors describe it. Pearl-like. Baka siguro pag you crush, no, or you ground pearls, that's how you smell pearls. So, chloral hydrate. Hydrogen sulfide, ito, no-brainer ito when you know that sulfur smell like rotten egg. Hydrogen sulfide, rotten eggs. Ito, easy din to when you know that mothballs, it's actually naphthalene containing balls, no? So, when you systemically, you've been poisoned by naphthalene, you will smell like mothballs. Wintergreen, ito yung embrocations ninyo, yung inyong mga efficacent oil, ayan, methyl salicylate. You will smell like wintergreen. Eucalyptic yung inyong amoy. Skin discoloration. Okay, so you have your skin there. Pag nag-color ka you be in contact with picric acid and nitric acid, you will see that it will turn into yellow. Okay? And from this slide on, turo ko na lang sa inyo na you associate picric acid with yellow. Sige ha. Kasi iba naman yung jaundice. Yung jaundice is a liver problem. And you will now turn into yellow because of the bile na imbalance within the body. For this one, picric acid, you turned into yellow because you came into contact with picric acid and nitric acid. Next, you have phenol, bleaching white. I don't know if you've experienced that, but then in my laboratory before, diba, phenol is also a cleaning agent. So I wore gloves. I cleaned with our mga Petri dish and mga all of that using phenol because that's the level of cleaning agent that the substance was needing. So okay na, linis-linis na ako sa laboratory when I was a student. I used phenol as a cleaning agent. Sponge, ganun. Naka-gloves ako. Pagtanggal ko, white na white yung kamay ko because of the skin discoloration that is caused by phenol. Bleaching white. Pero hindi naman siya mahapdi that time, no? So parang pale lang talaga siya. Bleaching white. And later on, when I washed it off many times, nawala naman siya. So hindi siya level na toxicity talaga siguro. Or ewan ko ba, baka toxicity na pala yun. Ayan, mercuric chloride and physostigmine, ash gray. Parang buhok lang, ash gray, ash blonde. Yan, mercuric chloride and physostigmine. For bromine, ito, gusto ko tong i-memorize kasi bromine, brown. Brown. Bromine, deep brown. And so, madali lang. For sulfuric acid, iodine, and silver nitrate, brown-black naman. You know iodine, you can associate it with brown-black naman kasi yung povidone iodine, betadine, brown siya, no? For silver nitrate, ginamit to sa laboratories. Ito yung substance na can stain and really seep into your skin. And it will look like henna tattoo. And just like henna tattoo, it will be gone for weeks and weeks pa. And you will see that it's brown-black discoloration on your skin with silver nitrate. Okay? Silver salts, actually bluish gray pala ang labas ng silver salts sa skin. Cyanotics, you know this one, it should be blue. Bakit kaya blue, no? Dugong bughaw. Hindi pala maganda yung dugong bughaw. Kasi cyanotic ka pala nun. Aniline can cause cyanosis, sulfides, and opium in high doses can cause cyanotics. Bakit kaya? Isipin nyo na lang. Pag alam nyo talaga yung sympathetic and parasympathetic effects, no? Say for example, si opium, 'di ba? What happens? CNS depressant siya. So low ang mga processes niyo. Siguro dahil low yung kanyang breathing, no? Nagka-cyanotic siya. Yun lang yung parang maiisip ko na yun, yung kaya blue, nag-cyanotic ka na. Because CNS depression siya dyan, no? Na-depress. So yung respiratory rate mo rather ay slow. Arsenic is carcinogenic. Ang lumalabas na color dyan, I showed that in the slide pala, pale bonds on fingernails. Alam niyo yung mga white dyan? Pero hindi ibig sabihin na carcinogenic, arsenic yan, May mga white lines, ayan on, in the illustration. It's pointing there, Mies, or there's another name, Muerkes lines. Ayan. So that's caused by your arsenic poisoning. And you have boiled lobster appearance. Kawawa naman, no? When you're poisoned by boric acid, you will elicit boiled lobster appearance. So meaning, ano ba yung boiled lobster appearance? Orange. No? Orange ka. Vomitus. So meaning you vomited, and then the vomitus there would be blue-green when you drink copper, or when you ingest copper or poisoned by copper. Blue-green. You will notice in the following slides, kapag copper, mostly mga green, bluish green, and so medyo easy lang to remember, but be careful lang din. No? So, pag vomitus, blue-green. Pag sulfuric acid, ground coffee. I don't know why. Siguro, iniisip ko na lang, baka sulfuric acid is a strong acid. When ingested, it can cause bleeding. And later on, di ba, it will scar the gastric area. And then maybe it will cause bleeding, and then it's solidified, and now it's ground coffee in appearance. So, yun lang din. Di ba kasi pag may internal bleeding ka, pag uminom ka ng, ayun nga, may internal bleeding ka, when you defecate, black tarry stools. Diba? Pag iron. So, yun, internal bleeding. So, yun lang din parang explanation ko siguro dito sa sulfuric acid. Kaya bakit ground coffee. O, ito, luminous vomit. May mga glitter-glitter ka sa vomit mo. Si phosphorus tsaka arsenic. Explanation ko naman dito, if you remember the Marsh test, na-forget nyo na, Marsh test. Ano nga ulit yung kailangan sa Marsh test? Sulfuric acid sa taas, zinc granules sa baba. You mix them together. You will let it pass through the flame. Because of the flame, it will be reduced to your arsenic na elemental arsenic. Tsaka yung hydrogen flame, yung byproduct. That's your Marsh test, okay? And the most simplest, gabi, most na simplest pa. In the simplest of terms, that's your Marsh test. Naalala nyo, si arsenic, if elemental arsenic siya, shiny metallic ring. Kaya, pag nasa vomit siya, luminous. No? So, shiny-shiny siya. In the same way, si phosphorus ay white powder. Okay? It's white in color, si phosphorus. Kaya siguro yung vomit looks luminous. Chromium is yellow-green. Yun lang. So, please take note of these common na mga symptomatic evidence. Bowel changes. So, we have here, we have charcoal. Of course, it's colored black. Bismuth, iron, black starry stools, I told you earlier. Lead, magnesium dioxide, and silver nitrate. The silver nitrate, kailan nga natin na-meet ito? Sa skin discoloration na brown, black. Sa bowel changes naman, black talaga siya. Clay-like, alcohol and barium, the stool color there would be clay. Clay-like. Aluminum hydroxide will cause you white stools. Boric acid, methylene blue, and iodine. I don't know why iodine gives you blue discoloration on your stools, no? But maybe because of some biological processes. No? But then in the books, they say iodine. gives out blue discoloration. Well, it's very easy to memorize. Methylene blue will cause blue discoloration of your bowel change or bowel movement. Green, cupric acid, copper, so green. Si iron, minsan green din pala. No, not just black. No? Depende sa um, metabolic process that it has undergone in the body. Indomethacin is green. Hemolytic substances are red. Bakit? Hemolytic because it breaks down blood. So blood will now be mixed in the stool. That's why it's colored red. Urinary changes, picric acid. When I introduced picric acid, I told you to associate picric acid with yellow. So picric acid now, when it changes the urine, it will give you dark yellow. Aloe and senna will give you yellow-brown. If you notice yung senna, yan yung bigger lie, biofit tea, it's a brown tea. No? Brown leaves that make brown tea. When you drink a lot of it, and there will be toxicity na talaga, you will have a brown discoloration. Pero syempre, since yellow itself ang urine, yellow-brown ang effect. Okay, I hope you're following. Turpentine, no? Social, violet. Turpentine. Violet yung kanyang color of urine. So, yan. Gusto mo lang ng violet color ng urine, ayan, turpentine. Eto, phenols and derivatives and methylene blue. You might wonder, methylene blue, kapag sa bowel, blue ang color. Pero bakit pag sa urine, green-blue? Bakit ba? Kasi yung urine, yellow itself ang color. Tapos nilagyan mo ng blue. O primary colors ninyo, green ang labas ng blue tsaka yellow. So green. Wine or red-brown yung urine ninyo pag caffeine. Na-try nyo ba? Sino ba dito addict sa iced coffee or sa mga coffee? Hindi naman siguro red-brown tsaka wine yung inyong urine, no? But of course, we're talking about toxicity. No? So at least malalaman nyo, hindi pa pala toxic levels kahit nakalimang cup ng coffee na kayo today. Okay? Benzene, rifampicin, lead, mercury, carbon tetrachloride. I want to emphasize on rifampicin. Ito ay part ng RIPES. No? Ano ba yung RIPES ninyo? Or yung mga anti-COX, KOCH, mga anti-TB. Yung inyong rifampicin, isoniazid, pyrazinamide, tama ba? Ethambutol, tsaka streptomycin, no? Hindi ko na ma-recall immediately, no? But then you have your letter R there, rifampicin or rifampin. One thing about it na you have to remember is meron siyang orange discoloration or minsan wine or red-brown discoloration. Kahit nga yung sweat tsaka tears ng tao, masya-shock na lang yung patient na, Dok, bakit may yung sweat ko ay orange. Umiyak ako kahapon, orange yung luha ko. Yun pala, hindi siya na-counsel ng mabuti. Na yung rifampicin, yun ang side effect. Pero kapag toxic effect na, wine or red-brown, or lead, mercury, carbon tetrachloride, caffeine, and benzene. Discoloration of gums. Eto. Si blue line gum, tsaka si black line gum. Yung inyong gums dyan, it will have a blue line, no? Yung mga nerves ninyo dyan, because of the presence of bismuth and lead. And then you have black line gum for mercury and arsenic. So, mercury, you think of it kasi gray siya, di ba? Dark. It will cause now black line gum. And arsenic also causes that. Alright. So, I'll continue at 1 p.m. No, because we'll have 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. for the afternoon session. And then we'll continue with symptomatic evidence and then some detection of poisons like your mga tests, no? Na it can also be useful in your inorganic chemistry na module. Like yun nga, yung Marsh test, ganun. Mga, ano pa ba yung mga Nestler's reagent. So we'll emphasize on that later. And then, mga diagnosis of poison, some other topics that are essential for your module in toxicology and compatibility in ADR. And then if we have time, which I think we still have time, I'll talk about the industrial poisons na common, no? Para malaman nyo kung ano yung mga mechanism of toxic action and ano yung treatment or antidote, but mostly on treatment talaga. Okay? So, let's see each other again at 1 p.m. and get your lunch break. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. So I ended on this slide. So let's continue. Yeah, we're still on the symptomatic evidence on toxicology. Now let's go to some examples and common ones that you need to remember for you to be able to recall, no, on the day, no, na it might be asked. So, for example, visual disturbances like digitalis and marijuana. There's a reason why it gives you purple vision, marijuana and digitalis. For anticholinergics, this can cause blurred vision. If you remember your belladonna alkaloids, one of the examples there would be your atropine. And your atropine, your belladonna alkaloids, these cause anticholinergic activity. And your atropine, it causes blurry vision. So you can connect all these knowledge, no, that you have already. So partial or total blindness may be caused by methanol, formic acid, and solanine. When we talk about formic acid, the students would always, no, almost always think of ants now, because formic acid can be excreted. No, it's in the body of the ants. But another thing you need to remember about formic acid, it's from formaldehyde. It's the acid that is a byproduct also of formaldehyde. When there are biological or metabolic processes that formaldehyde might undergo, it will now elicit formic acid. Optic neuritis caused by ethambutol. Okay, so, and also marijuana can cause bloodshot eyes. So they have redness in the eyes and it's dilated or looks bloodshot, no? So mapula ang kanilang eyes. Respiratory changes. So what happens is when you are poisoned by Veratrin. No? Veratrin is a steroidal alkaloid found in the plants of the lily family. So it's a steroidal alkaloid. So it can cause violent sneezing. No? Kung ano man ang violent sneezing sa inyong imagination, yan yun, violent sneezing. Sulfur dioxide can cause irritation in the respiratory system because if you've inhaled sulfur, say for example, there are mountains in the Philippines that excrete sulfur vapor. When you inhale that, it will cause irritation. Dyspnea for carbon monoxide. If you understand my explanation about the mechanism of toxic action of carbon monoxide, just the same as cyanide, diba? What do you remember? They interfere with the oxygen transport. So what happens? You're breathing, no? Your organs are deprived of oxygen. So there will really be dyspnea. There will be a difficulty in breathing. How about apnea? No, apnea is really the cessation of breathing. That's why people experience sleep apnea. While they were sleeping, the respiratory system stopped working and there's a cessation of breathing. So that's sleep apnea. That's different from dyspnea. There's just this difficulty in breathing. Okay, for opium, barbiturates, benzodiazepine, and let's include also cyanide. But cyanide can also cause dyspnea, just like how I explained the mechanism of toxic action, correct? So your opium, barbiturates, and benzodiazepines, if you know their effect, which is CNS depression, you will now connect it to the respiratory change of general respiratory depression. Okay, other symptomatic evidence. So we have here arsenic is carcinogenic. So it can cause alopecia. Salicylates and quinine can cause tinnitus or tinnitus. So this is the ringing of the ears. You can hear ringing of the ears even though it's not triggered, no? You just hear a ringing. No? Ototoxicity. So these aminoglycosides and loop diuretics, it's already been established that they really have ototoxicity. Auto, so ears. They have ear toxicity. So it can cause hearing impairment or interrupt with the normal state of your hearing. Okay. So anticholinergics can cause xerostomia. So what's xerostomia? This is the drying of the mouth. Your system, no, your mouth could no longer produce saliva. Xerostomia. This is caused by anticholinergics. Um, when you are poisoned with cadmium, one of the symptomatic evidence there would be bloody sputum. So when you cough cadmium, but then it could also be pathological because people suffering from tuberculosis, they have bloody sputum also. They cough out blood. But um, for purposes of toxicology, you can associate it with cadmium. Barium could be loss of voice and muscular twitching. So I think um, there would be muscles surrounding the vocal cords and there would be twitching up to the point that there would be loss of voice, or it could be a separate mechanism of toxic action there. But for sure, it's barium that causes it both. Ito, loose teeth, mercury, lead, phosphorus. If you remember sa previous slide ko, discoloration of the gums, there's a black lining on your gum when you are poisoned with mercury or arsenic.